Happy Sunday. Whenever you're watching this, if you're not watching the live, whenever you're watching this, happy whatever day of the week it is. Today, I want to share my story and pretty much how I changed my mindset. Because the person you see today, I haven't always been this person. I used to be very different. I was actually very sick in my mind. I wasn't doing anything crazy, like I wasn't hurting other people, but I was hurting myself. And if you see me looking down, I am looking down at my notes because I'll be having so much to say. Sometimes I end up forgetting. But yeah, I used to be a very different person. I used to be very weak in faith. I always believed God was real, but I didn't truly believe in God's power. And to be honest, I just didn't feel like I was worthy of God blessing me and God taking care of me. I used to think God just had his favorites, and those are the people that he blessed. Some people were just born lucky. So I always believed God existed, but I was very weak in faith. And I used to be very lazy. Believe it or not, I'm a very motivated, driven person now, but I haven't always been that way. And part of it was because of the stuff that I used to eat, the stuff that I used to consume. I used to constantly drink alcohol, wine every single day. And I thought, like, oh, it's just wine. It's not that bad. But I was drinking it every single day to a point where I started having stomach issues. Anytime I would drink just one glass of wine, my stomach would be hurting. That's how much I used to drink. And I used to eat crazy, terrible. No disrespect to anybody who still eats bad, but I used to eat fast food. I never used to drink water. I was always eating TV dinners and Michelinas, eating beef and pork and junior bacon cheeseburgers. And that's part of the reason why I was so lazy because of what I was putting in my body. I was destroying my body through alcohol and through the stuff that I was eating. And I used to be very desperate for validation and approval. I was a notorious people pleaser. I just wanted people to like me. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to be friends with everybody. And on top of that, I used to have very catastrophic thinking. I constantly used to overthink. I would overthink myself into having a panic attack. That was another thing. I used to have panic attacks all the time. Like out of nowhere, I would just feel this doom and gloom like I was going to die. And I would just be hyperventilating and crying and just feeling like I was in absolute terror. Like, y'all don't understand. I have came such a long way, but I'm gonna be real. I've had to do so much work. And that's why I want to share with you guys some of the things that I did. On top of that, I used to have very low self esteem. I used to not feel like I was worthy. And I used to constantly look at other people, specifically women, and wish that I could be other women. Like I was constantly jealous and envious of other women and looking at other women like, oh, I wish I was her. I wish I could be her. And it's like now the thought of that makes me sick because I'm like, there's nobody else that I would rather be at this point. But that's because I've done so much work on myself. And I'm trying to think. I was a completely different person. That's why I gotta look it down in my notes because I'm like, how y'all see me being like inspirational and motivational and saying all these messages? I wasn't always practicing the stuff that I preach now. So, but like I said, I'm gonna be honest. I had to do a lot of work. But if you really love yourself, you will be willing to do the work. You'll be willing to put in the work on yourself because you know that you deserve it. You know that you're worthy of being the highest version of yourself. And that's what I had to realize because I was constantly feeling like I was a victim, constantly telling people my sob story about my childhood and what was me. The reason X, Y, and Z didn't happen is because this happened when I was 6, and then that happened to me when I was 10. I was constantly living in victim mode, never taking responsibility, and not even just taking responsibility, but realizing the power that God put inside of me. Here's the thing, this is another thing that helped me change my mindset is taking God outside of the religious box. I grew up Christian, and there's a lot of positive things that I experienced with Christianity growing up, in church. But the one thing is religion caused me to put God in a little box. I always had this perception that God was just this bearded old guy up in the sky with a wand controlling everything. So I would constantly put human limitations on God. Therefore, I will put limitations on myself. And I would subconsciously think to myself, the things that I really desired, the things that I wanted deep down in my heart, I did not feel like I was worthy. I would subconsciously think to myself, that's too good to happen to me. That's too good to be true for me. And that's because even though I believed God existed and I've always had some type of connection with God, I didn't really know God. I didn't really understand God. And because I didn't really know God, I didn't really know myself, which is why I was walking around feeling defeated and like I was a victim to life. And oh, some people are just lucky. And how can you say you believe in God, but in the same breath, you feel like some people are just lucky? You're pretty much saying if you just believe in luck, you don't believe in God. Because if you believe in God, you believe in divine order. One second. I need some water. Oh, excuse me. Hi, guys. Hi, how's your Sunday? How's everybody feeling? Mm, okay, back to what I was saying. But yeah, one of the things that helped me was also looking into different things outside of the Bible, outside of Christianity. It's like when people are raised Christian or whatever religion, when people are raised religious, a lot of times we be afraid to look into other things. And not even, and when I say other things, I'm not saying you have to get into different ideologies or religions, but simply understanding God is not just within the confines, whatever that word is. God is not just in Christianity. God is in everything. God is even in science. Like people try to make it seem like, oh, well, it's either science or God. It's like science is God. God is science. Like, so I had to get out of that, like, if it's not in the Bible, then it's not of God. It's like, no, that's not necessarily true. If you believe that the only things that are from God are only in the Bible and anything outside of the Bible is not from God, that is very close minded. And when you are close minded and you're not open to other things, you miss out on a lot of knowledge. And that's what I had to realize. Because I'm not going to lie, when I first started listening to stuff about law of attraction and metaphysics and affirmations, and I would hear them say things like the universe and blah, blah, blah. I ain't gonna lie, it used to make me a little uncomfortable because I'm like, nigga, the universe, you mean God? So I ain't gonna lie, because of my Christian religious programming, at first I was a little like, I don't know. But I was like, Kyla, be open minded because at the end of the day, you don't know everything. And even Christians, even whatever religion, even if it's somebody that is a leader in that religion, they don't know everything. They're not God. So I was like, you know what? Let me be open minded. Let me step outside of my religious box and be open minded to whatever knowledge I could possibly get from these videos and get from these books. And I'm so happy that I did because I would not have the mindset I have now if I didn't open myself up to other avenues to become the highest version of myself. Like I really try to stay away from talking about this type of stuff, but I'm gonna be real. I don't like how a lot of Christians demonize anything that's outside of the Bible. They even demonize things that are actually in the Bible, which is the crazy thing to me. Like, you have to stop being so scared of learning new things. And people don't realize, people, if you're like that, it's because you're programmed. It's because you're programmed. You're afraid to think for yourself. And I didn't expect to go on a tangent like that, but that's something that really bothers me. But anyways, um, what was I gonna say? Oh, another thing that helped me change my mindset was realizing life is a mixture of action, surrender, and trust. You do have to take action. You can't just expect things to fall in your lap. See, here's the thing, a lot of times when people pray, they say, Lord, please do this for me. Please do that for me, blah, blah, blah. But number one, after they pray, they go back to worrying about what they just prayed about. Number two, they think God is just going to hand it to them on a silver platter. No, faith without works is dead. You do have to take that leap. You do have to make that first step, and God will meet you halfway. But at the same time, you do have to take action, but you also have to surrender. Don't try to force things. Don't, if something feels forced, if you've done everything you can do and you know that you've showed up and did your best, you have to leave the rest to God. Even if you want something by a certain time, you have to just trust God's timing. You have to trust His timing. Because here's the thing, whether you get what you want at the age of 30 or you get it at 33, does it really matter? Do those 3 years really make a big difference? No, it's all in your head. That's really just your ego. Because whether you get whether you get your breakthrough when you're 30 or when you're 33 or when you're 37, it's like if God blesses you with longevity, you don't need to rush. You have time. You have time to enjoy your breakthrough and your blessings. So, and that's something that I had to realize about myself because I had all these imaginary timelines in my head of when wanted certain things to happen. But now I can honestly say I just laugh at all that because I'm like, Kyla, if certain things that you really wanted to happen by a certain age would have happened at that age, you would have self destructed. You would have self sabotaged. You wouldn't have been able to handle the things that you was praying for and thinking, oh, by this age, I'm gonna have this. By this age, I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have kids. Blah blah blah. So it's like I'm so grateful God didn't give me certain things when I wanted them because He knows better than we know. He's all knowing. God can see way further than we can see. So that's where surrendering comes in. Trust is when you know that trust is when you know that God is going to come through. You trust that He is going to work everything out in your favor. So that's what helped me change my mindset is realizing life is a mixture of action, surrender, and trust. Trust in the Lord. um, I kind of talked about it already, but one of the things that helped me change my mindset was changing my eating habits. People don't realize you really are what you eat. If you are constantly eating a bunch of processed food, eating a lot of sugar, if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, hell, even if you smoke a lot, I'm gonna be real. I do smoke some marijuana and CBD, but I don't smoke a lot because I realize overindulgence that's technically gluttony. Gluttony is overindulging. So if you're constantly high all day, every day, I'm not here to judge because I used to be high all day, every day. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it's just excessive. It's excessive, and we don't realize all the things that we put in our body that we think are just innocent. That affects the way that we think. That affects our mood. Like I said earlier, that's part of the reason why I used to be so lazy because I was feeding myself garbage. So, of course, if I'm feeding myself garbage, I'm going to feel like garbage. So, yeah, now I am plant based. I try my best to stay away from dairy, but sometimes I'll fall into temptation, and I have to say, cows, please forgive me. Because they don't got no vegan options. So I guess I'm just going to have to get something that got dairy. But I haven't had meat in a little over, has it been a year? A little over a year. I haven't had meat in a little over a year. But yeah, I just eat plant based. A lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, quinoa, a lot of sweet potatoes. What else do I be eating? I don't know. I just be eating a lot of foods that grow from the earth. Um, Another thing that helped me change my mindset was constantly brainwashing myself with positivity. I still do it to this day. I'm constantly brainwashing myself with positivity, constantly listening to audiobooks and reading articles and just constantly brainwashing myself to to be positive because as much as we think certain things are just entertainment, we don't realize that has an effect on our mood. It has an effect on the way that we think. I'm gonna be real. When I was in my early 20s, and I don't know why I was watching this type of stuff in my early 20s, because I kind of feel like this is some old lady stuff. But I constantly used to be watching those murder mystery shows like Snapped, where I don't know if y'all ever seen the show Snapped, where pretty much a lot of times the scenarios would be the spouse killed their spouse for insurance money. And these would be real life stories. So I would constantly be watching that type of stuff. And there was a point in time I was watching the show Orange is the New Black. I used to watch that show obsessively. And I didn't understand why I was constantly feeling anxious, feeling paranoid. I used to constantly be paranoid that somebody would kidnap me. I used to constantly be paranoid somebody would kidnap me. And when I was watching Orange is the New Black, after I would get done watching the show, I would be dwelling on the things that happened with the characters. And it would be making me sad and making me upset. Like, as much as people try to downplay that type of stuff, that does have an effect on your psyche, whether you want to accept it or not. Even if you say, "Oh, I'm strong, I can handle it," it's like, okay, it's affecting you some way, somehow. You just don't realize it. But yeah. So now I'm constantly listening to encouraging, inspirational, uplifting audio. Like, I do my best to stay away from the doom and gloom because there's a lot of that going around. The recession, the election, inflation, food recalls, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I understand that shit really is happening. But at the same time, I believe in God. And I know all throughout the Bible, it talks about how God doesn't want us to be worried or anxious. So it's like, yeah, like, you know, shit is hitting the fan. Like, but at the same time, like, when has it not been that way in the world? Like, people be acting like the earth is supposed to be heaven. This is earth. This is not heaven. Like, God already told us from the beginning it wasn't going to be rainbows and butterflies. It wasn't going to be peaches and cream. So I'm like, I feel like it's always been craziness and destruction and evil going on in the world. So I'm just like, it is what it is. I don't want to feed into that because that's another thing. Not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but the powers that be, they want you to live in fear. They want you to live in fear because if a person is living in fear, they're not going to thrive. They're not going to flourish. And they don't want you to flourish because they want to be able to control you and keep this system running. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but just study propaganda, study mind control. That's why I'm like, even if things are going on in my life, I'm not going to worry because I believe in God. I know at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, God is going to take care of me. So I ain't worried about none of that. So, yeah, try to stay away from things that get you worked up, things that get you upset. If something is getting you upset and you get mad and while you're watching it, just turn that shit off. Trust me. I know a part of you is like, no, but I need to know what's happening. No, you don't. That does not help you in your personal life as much as you think it does. It's like that does not help you in your everyday life. It's actually just raising your blood pressure. I'm almost done, guys. I just want to make sure I help you guys as much as possible because I am here to serve. I need another sip of water. Okay. And then I can collect my last little thoughts to share with you guys. Hi, guys. I'm not reading the comments because somebody said something that was a little rude, but I let it slide. But I'm not reading the comments. Just remember, I do not tolerate hate on my channel. We are all about love and peace. So yeah, let's just keep it peaceful and respectful. If you don't want to keep it peaceful and respectful, then just go to somebody else's channel. Go to the shade room. Go to something negative that, that type of behavior is accepted and welcomed. What else was I going to say? Another thing that helped me shift my mindset is having a daily spiritual ritual. And what I mean by that is having a little ritual, a little routine that you do when you first wake up in the morning that sets the tone for your day. So, me, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is pray. I make sure I talk to God when I first wake up in the morning. I thank Him for everything He's done. And I ask Him for intangible things and tangible things. Like, Lord, give me strength. keep me sane, keep me strong, keep me encouraged, guide me, order my steps. And then I might ask him for tangible things like, Lord, help me to make this amount of money today. Or, Lord, do this or that. And really, I just be having conversations with God. Like, if there was a hidden camera in my apartment, people might look at it and be like, yo, she's crazy. Like, she's really just talking as if she's talking to another person. But that's how it should be with God. Like, I don't understand why people think we should like come to God like in this robotic, strategic way. It's like, bro, God is your creator, God is your heavenly father. You can talk to him like he's your best friend. So that's what I be doing all day, every day, but especially when I first wake up in the morning. Another thing I do after I pray is I meditate. And after I meditate, I say my affirmations. And I ain't gonna lie, when I first heard about affirmations, I was like, that's weird. Like, why would you just keep repeating something over and over again? Is it supposed to just magically make something happen? But then once I learned, your subconscious mind picks up things through repetition. And even in the Bible, the thing is, the law of attraction is pretty much in the Bible. They just don't call it law of attraction in the Bible. So that's why when people be like, the law of attraction is demonic, it's like, no, it's not. It's technically in the Bible. It just doesn't call it law of attraction. Now, I will be honest. If you're doing all those things, but you're not including God in the process, I won't say it's demonic, but I'm gonna say it's misguided. But just leave it at that. If you're like, I'm gonna manifest and do this and do that, but God is not in the equation, I'm gonna just say it's misguided. I don't want to be like, oh, that's demonic, but it's misguided. But anyways, your subconscious mind picks up things through repetition. So even in the Bible, it says life and death is in the power of the tongue. The Bible talks about how you should speak life into yourself. So, affirmations is you speaking life into yourself. I have so many affirmations that I constantly say throughout the day, but especially in the morning. How you start your day, how you start your morning sets the tone for your day. So, that was another thing that helped me change my mindset. And also, I just be talking to myself in the mirror. I be giving myself little pep talks and speeches in the mirror. And I don't know if y'all like listening, like, yo, she's crazy, but guess what? This shit works. Because, like I said, I'm a completely different person than who I used to be. Like, even with me battling anxiety, I've battled severe anxiety ever since I was a toddler, and it's still there, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Because if it was, I wouldn't even be on live doing this video right now. I would be too anxious. I'd be like, no, I can't. But like, even though there is always a little bit of pinch of anxiety, at the same time, I'm just like, I just feel free because I know I'm doing what God has called me to do. So yeah. Oh, and last but not least, the biggest thing that helped me change my mindset and stop looking at myself as a victim was really seeking God and surrendering to God and viewing myself the way that God views me. When you view yourself in you view yourself so low. You feel like you're unworthy. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're not pretty enough. You you just feel inadequate. That goes against the way that God views you. God doesn't view you as any of those things. And I was viewing myself as those things because I I didn't really know God. Therefore, I didn't really know myself. But once I really got close to God started to reveal to me who I really am. And that's when I realized, oh, I have to live up to her. Like, if this is who God says I am, that's who I have to become. And that was the biggest thing that helped me change my mindset. Like, I am not religious. I am not religious, and I might get choked up, but I am not religious. But I strongly believe you can do all the self help stuff, you can meditate all day, you can do all these things. But if you don't include God, if God is not included in that process, you will always have a void. You will always have a void. You will always feel like something is missing. Me living in Buckhead, I be around a lot of these rich white people, and I can see that a lot of these people are not truly fulfilled. Something is missing, and I can guarantee you it's God. So, like I said, I don't give a damn how many books you read. I don't care how much you meditate. All the things that I said I did, yes, those are all things that helped me change my mindset. But the biggest thing that helped me to transform my mind and stop viewing myself as a victim was God. God has put a fire and power in me that I know only comes from Him. It wasn't all the meditation and the books and this and that. And no, it was God. Those things played a factor, but God was the biggest factor. Even me speaking right now, this is God speaking through me. This is not even me speaking because, like I said, I've battled with anxiety ever since I was a little kid. So I always used to be afraid to speak because ever since I was a little kid, my voice would constantly crack and shake. But me doing all these things, making these lives, going live, posting all these videos, I am able to do this despite me having anxiety and really being an introvert. I'm able to do this because of God. All credit goes to God, all glory goes to God. So I would say, even though I saved the best for last, I would say that last piece is the number one thing you need to focus on if you want to change your mindset and you want to stop feeling like a victim to life, is to seek God and surrender to God. That is the number one thing. And I didn't even intentionally make that the last point, but like I said, I guess I saved the best for last. But yes, one more thing I want to say, so please don't go. Let me just take a sip of water. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, okay. So I pray this message was helpful. I pray that it blessed you. If you need help, if you need coaching, www.coachwithkai.com. I would love to work with you. And yeah, I pray this message blessed you. If it did, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.